Let's talk about paintbrushes. Knowing the different parts of a paintbrush and how to use it properly is going to make your life a whole lot easier and help your brushes last longer. The top part of the paintbrush is where the bristles are. The bristles are the part that holds the paint. Underneath that, the bristles are attached inside the ferrule. The ferrule is the metal piece underneath the bristles that holds the glue that attaches those bristles to the handle. The last part of the paintbrush is the handle at the bottom. When you use your paintbrushes, it's important to try to keep the paint in the top half of the bristles and out of the ferrule. This is going to keep paint from getting inside the ferrule where it can cause damage to the glue that's holding the bristles inside the brush. Next, we're going to talk about how to clean a brush once you're done using it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your water cup. Now this system here is really helpful for washing paint out of brushes, and you can get started right at your table before you even need to go to the sink. So the first thing you're going to want to use is this side over here. Those ridges in the bottom are meant to help get paint out of the brush. When you gently just sort of slide the brush over those ridges, it's going to help get a bunch of the paint out of there. So once it's got water, that's going to be a really helpful tool for you guys when you start washing, so it doesn't take so long in the sink. I'll show you what that looks like start to finish. So let's start with this paintbrush. This is a really large one, so it holds a lot of paint, which means that we're going to have to be extra careful about washing it to make sure that we get all of that paint out of the bristles so that it doesn't dry in the brush. Because remember, acrylic paint is made out of plastic. It's made out of a polymer. Once that plastic dries, it is no longer washable, which means it's great and waterproof, but it also can ruin your brush if you don't wash it out. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our water cup that you have in your paint box, and you're just going to gently brush your brush across the bottom of the container and swish it back and forth, and you can already see that's getting a ton of that blue paint out of there, so that when I lift it out there's only a little bit left, which is great because we only have one sink. So I'm going to get most of it out in here, and then I can go to the clean side and I can sort of gently swish the brush against the bottom. You want to think about like you're gently painting the bottom of the container. You don't want to like mush it or stab it because the bristles can get damaged, and we want to be gentle with them. So just kind of gently swish it across the bottom of the thing. And then once you've done that on both sides, your brush should be pretty clean by the time you come to the sink, so it won't take you so long. So now, when I come to the sink, this is the cold side. It is very cold. It also can be way too much water pressure. So if you want to use the left side, it's a little easier to control and the water's not quite so chilly. If your hands get cold, use this side. The first thing you want to do is run the water over your hand and just swish your brush like this. And if there's any paint, that'll help it to really come out. Then you want to kind of pull the bristles apart gently and just look inside. Now when I do this, I can see that paint can get in the middle, inside. That's the well inside the paintbrush. And this part right here is called the ferrule, this metal piece. This is where the bristles are attached. They're inside there and they're glued to the handle. And what happens is paint can get in there and it can rot, it can ruin the glue, and that's what causes the bristles to start to fall out. If too much paint gets in there, the bristles can also kind of like swell and get misshapen. Like if you look at this one right here, this is an example of the student who used it did a good job of rinsing it out of this part, but they left a whole bunch of paint down in the bottom that had gotten into the ferrule in here. And so now there's all this extra paint in there, which is making this brush that should look like this now is kind of fluffy and misshapen, and those bristles are sticking out at the end, which makes it harder to use versus this one. This is how it should look. Okay, so make sure when you're washing your brush that you're getting all the paint even on the inside of the bristles. If you do that, you can have a paintbrush that lasts you 10 years. If you really take care of it, you can get a lot of life out of your brushes. But we just got to be really mindful of getting all that paint out there. Now, what I like to do to check if there's any paint that I can still wash out, once I'm done doing this, I can see there's a little blue in there still, so I'm going to keep rinsing. Now I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to gently press my brush against that paper towel. And if I don't see any of that blue paint on there that I was using, then I know that my brush is clean. I can go ahead and put it away. If I wipe it and a little bit more paint comes off, I know that I need to rinse it again. So I'll go back to the water, swish it around, tap it on here, and as long as it looks clean, then I'm good to go. If you're really having trouble and the paint is being really stubborn and you're having a hard time getting it out, you can take a little bit of hand soap, just a teeny pump, like half a pump, quarter of a pump, just a little bit, and swish the brush around in your palm like that, and you'll see if there's paint in your brush, the bubbles will start to change colors a little bit. But my brush is pretty clean, so they're staying white, so that means it is clean. And then I just need to make sure that I do a really good job of rinsing all of the soap out so that I don't have a soapy brush. Once I'm done, I tap off the extra, and then I want to kind of smooth the bristles back into shape. That way, when the brush dries, those bristles will be nice and neat and ready for the next person to use them.